Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new session of Momentum Data's Deep Dives. This mini event series consists of rapid-fire 10-minute sessions full of key takeaways for busy B2B marketers. We've designed it for you to quickly drop in, get a fresh take on a current topic, and then get right back to your day. Today's session is called B2B Marketing in the Age of Dinosaurs and Robots, which I will demystify in a minute when we jump into the presentation. As you can imagine from the quirky title, this is a funny visual metaphor for some of the challenges that B2B marketers are facing today. Through this framework, we will take in an in-depth look at how marketers can navigate the old legacy giants and the new hyped-up noise surrounding them in today's technological landscape. To introduce myself, for those who don't know me, I'm Henrik Beckmann, co-founder of Momentum Data. Over the years, Momentum Data has partnered with over 10,000 marketing and sales professionals globally to help them navigate the ever-changing B2B landscape. And here's a selection of our clients across various sectors. We specialize in helping these enterprise teams identify and engage their ideal audiences with hyper-personalized, one-to-one touchpoints that drive demand and revenue growth at scale. With that said, we want to make sure these 10 minutes are genuinely productive for you, so we've tailored the content just for this audience. Today, we have over 700 B2B enterprise marketing professionals registered, coming from specialized industries within the IT and software, manufacturing, materials, and professional services spaces. The companies in attendance have a B2B focus and a high average contract value, which we've considered when preparing the marketing tools and solutions we'll discuss today. So, to set the stage for today's session, here's our agenda. We will walk through the 4 core steps in developing and launching an account-based marketing program: audience selection, content and creative development, channel selection, and execution and reporting. At each step, we'll identify what the dinosaurs and the robots are pushing based on their own motivations that aren't necessarily helpful for the marketers, and we'll land on what actually works or the best approach a marketer can take at each step of the process. To begin, let me explain our technology metaphor of dinosaurs and robots. Firstly, the dinosaurs are the big B2B ad platforms like Google and Microsoft with its acquisition of LinkedIn. And there are the CRM and email ecosystems, Salesforce CRM with its marketing cloud, and Microsoft Dynamics with the Adobe Experience Cloud. These dinosaurs are already in your organization today because they have been the status quo for decades. What do they want? Simple. To keep you buying clicks and collecting email opt-ins so they can funnel MQLs into long nurture flows that run entirely on their platform. The problem? It just doesn't work anymore. CPCs are sky high, email open rates have tanked below 10%, unsubscribes are everywhere, and personalization usually stops at dropping someone's first name into a bad template. On the other side, we got the robots. The newer players, the ABM ad platforms like Demandbase and 6sense, with black box tactics like intent data and IP targeting. Plus the wave of low-code automation tools like Make and Clay. They're not just status quo yet, they are pitching to you as if they are the next big thing. So what do they want? To sell you on the dream of AI-powered automated engagement. To charge hundreds of thousands a year for black box technologies that promise to disrupt the dinosaurs. And the problem? Most of the time, they are just noise. They don't do more than the dinosaurs, they just wrap it in buzzwords. They blast unverified context, break GDPR requirements, and push out generic messaging that doesn't build relationships. So in summary, dinosaurs represent the ineffective past, robots present the overhyped present. And both are creating a lot of noise that can prevent deals from moving forward. That's why we are here, to look at what actually works in ABM step by step. So let's see the forces in action at each of the core steps of an ABM process. Let's start at the very beginning of any ABM campaign, audience selection. Who are we actually targeting to reach or trying to reach? Now here's what the dinosaurs are doing at this stage, perpetuating a familiar antiquated approach, which is the status quo due to the dominance in the market. First, the classic ads plus email flow. We've all seen this. You upload a giant audience, push ads at them, hoping some will end up filling out their lead gen form, and then follow up with email blasts. But let's look at the reality. Average B2B ad click-through rates are under just 3%, and email open rates, they are under only 10%. On top of that, GDPR and unsubscribe restrictions mean you can't even add most of the people you actually want to those email workflows. So right out of the gate, you've got a process that's statistically broken and legally restricted. Zooming in on the ad side, you're only allowed to target broad aggregated audiences, things like interest and lookalikes, vague seniority levels, or company size. And you're told that's just the way it works because the platforms require you to hit at least 100,000 people in order to spend your budget. But here's one key problem. What if your audience isn't 100,000 plus people? What, like all of our enterprise clients selling high contract value solutions, your real target audience is highly specialized. Maybe 5,000 people who truly fit your ideal persona. Well, the dinosaurs have no solution for you. You simply can't get your ad out to only 5,000 priority contacts because the ad platform simply can't achieve that. And you'll never be able to spend your budget. So here's what usually happens next. The agency managing the campaign says, let's broaden your audience so that you can spend your budget. But that's a trap, because the moment you broaden your targeting, your decision makers are no longer being prioritized. Your ad real estate starts going to cheaper, more irrelevant traffic, while the exact people you're trying to reach slip through cracks. Now, when it comes to dinosaur-driven emails, you can only email people who have opted in and who haven't unsubscribed since then. For most enterprise B2B companies we work with, that ends up being just a tiny fraction of their actual target audience, meaning that the vast majority of the people who should be in your program are unreachable via email. So in short, the dinosaur approach to audience selection is target to broad, settle for abysmal engagement rates, and keep pushing email to sliver of your real audience. That's the baseline status quo, and it's exactly why ABM often feels broken when you're stuck in this model. Now, if the dinosaurs represent the old school status quo and the robots are the shiny, over-engineered solutions that promise precision, but in reality they create a new kind of noise. So let's start with intent data gathered by providers like Bombora. The tools that use the data promise to show you which companies are actively interested in your product, based on online searches for relevant terms. Sounds amazing, right? But here is one key problem. The entire system rests on an extremely small sample size. If just a handful of people at a company search for a certain term, that entire company suddenly lights up as in market. But you have no idea who's actually searching. It could be your exact buyer persona, sure, maybe, but more often it's someone completely unrelated. Like someone job hunting in your sector, someone that rather actively looking for than somebody who's actually looking for your solution, which is rare for B2B buyer to do in the first place. So instead of precision, what you actually get is false positives and noise. Then we have the ABM ad platforms that rely on IP targeting. These platforms promise you precise account level targeting, but here's how it really works. If you give them a list of companies, they simply serve ads to anyone logging into the office Wi-Fi at that company. Two big problems with that. First, in today's world, a huge percentage of people are working from home, which means many of the actual targets aren't even seeing the ads. Second, even when people are in the office, you're not just targeting decision makers, you're targeting everyone. The intern, the receptionist, the random contractor using your guest Wi-Fi, all of them get lumped into your so-called precision targeting, while the people who actually matter don't necessarily get reached at all. So while the dinosaurs were guilty of being too broad and too outdated, the robots are guilty of over-promising precision while actually giving you high, imprecise, and less visible results. The end result is the same: wasted, spent, and missed opportunities to connect with the actual people who move your deals forward. So what does work? You can start with a hand-picked target account list, building it from real buyer data, not from inflated intent signals. Then look for lookalike accounts, companies in the same industries or operating in a similar way. To do this en masse, you can leverage data mining of LinkedIn to find the company pages with certain keywords to group companies that actually fit the criteria you need. As for prospects within your accounts, map your audience at the contact level, beyond using job titles and seniority levels. You can also do data mining on LinkedIn for the specific terminology people use in their profiles. If someone mentions the exact characteristics of their role that relates to your solution, that's gold. It's far more reliable than guessing based on an IP address or some vague interest category. Now, when it comes to content and creative development, the dinosaurs stick to the same old formula. On the ad side, real personalization is impossible. Since they are requiring such broad audiences, one generic message is blasted to all. That doesn't move high-ticket B2B deals. On the email side, you've got a name, maybe some sign-up info, and the CRM tries to patch it by offering things like lead scoring. But that is a flawed system that doesn't get anywhere close to meaningful relevance. The robots promise something flashier. For example, landing page builders like Follows promise hyper-personalized pages for every target group. Sounds nice, right? But here's what we keep hearing from our clients. They hire agencies to build them, it costs a fortune, and then almost no one visits these sites. To make the math work, you would need massive traffic. And in ABM, the audience is just too small, so the ROI never adds up. Then there's the AI content churn. Robots promise to pump out the new posts that can be posted on LinkedIn, for example. And the problem with that is the newsfeed fills up with AI-generated noise that nobody engages with, because it all looks the same. What actually performs? And our data shows it, are real live human actions. A selfie at a conference happening live, a behind-the-scenes shot, a genuine moment of interaction, that's what cuts through. Because robots can't do that. Keep it human and specific. Now, let's talk about a third step in building an ABM program, channel selection. The dinosaurs keep running the same old playbook that we discussed earlier. The big ad platforms and CRMs had literal decades to build the giant inflated processes for capturing traffic and nurturing leads that every marketer today is familiar with. Now that all enterprise companies are using their software, the general mentality is that we are essentially locked in to this cycle. Drive people to your website through ads, collect information through forms, and blast that database with marketing emails. The dinosaurs own those channels and platforms, and keeping you locked into the cycle protects their status quo. The problem is, it's highly flawed today for all the reasons we mentioned. PPC ad inflation, GDPR restrictions, inbox saturation, and unsubscribe trends, just to name a few. The robots, on the other hand, love to talk about being multi-channel. They even pitch themselves as if they have invented entirely new channels to reach buyers. But when you peel back the buzzwords, it's clear that what they are doing is just repackaging the existing channels with different names. Take content syndication. This is often thrown in a list with other channels as if it's a different one. But what is it really? It's just your content piece being pushed out through an ad. Same with chatbots. They're actually just a customer service feature on your website. When it comes to WhatsApp or SMS, those are channels for your customer success as well, but not for your marketing team. Because legally, you can't do outbounding there without being flagged and blocked by for privacy issues. So multi-channel, not really. It's the same old ad plus email cycle, dressed up in buzzwords to make you think they're doing something futuristic. So what does actually work? Well, you need a GDPR-compliant way to reach specific individuals, not broad company buckets. The most effective channel for that today is social selling on LinkedIn, since the whole environment is GDPR compliant and allows you to establish one-to-one connections in an outbound B2B context. Even within LinkedIn, you can almost create a type of multi-channel experience by using the different touchpoints there. Beyond direct messaging, you can engage prospects using event invites, organic and paid posts, and comments. And combining these different touchpoints allows you to have conversations and start to build real relationships directly with individuals you've identified as being the most relevant for you. And when it comes to our fourth and last step of the presentation, execution and reporting, the dinosaurs hit another wall. With ads, you can only really track results on an ad platform on a high level, through total impressions, clicks, and broad engagement numbers. What you can't see is who exactly engaged on an individual level. And in ABM, where one-to-one conversations drive real deals, the lack of contact level visibility is a huge detriment. Another fundamental issue comes from the big analytics platforms like Adobe Analytics, for example, which of course are owned by the dinosaurs. What we keep hearing from our clients is that these platforms simply don't work. The tagging systems have gotten so complex and there are so many integrations and agencies managing them that the whole landscape is now unreliable. Visitor tracking rarely matches the ad platform's reporting, and it's impossible to know where the mismatch is coming from. Fixing these landscapes requires massive, expensive projects just to untangle the mess. So you end up with reporting that's complicated, inconsistent, and still doesn't give you the one thing you actually need, which is a clear visibility into the individuals behind the results. In the area of reporting, the robots are hitting another extreme. The hype about AI agents as the future of ABM execution promises that you can tell an AI prompt to automate your whole campaign, reaching out to everyone, tracking it all, and reporting back. For now, this is mostly being offered not by self-operating technology, but by small service providers that actually just program your automation workflows for you, using tools like Clay or Make. These providers are heavily email-based, and they work by blasting large, untargeted databases with emails and not complying with GDPR. So off the bat, they don't work for enterprise clients whose legal departments actually have to care about GDPR regulations. These agents are mostly run by spammers and for scammy type businesses or small businesses. So for our clients, this is a real non-starter. So finally, what does work best for a marketer nowadays when it comes to execution and reporting? Well, once you have identified your audience at a contact level, the whole game changes because your audience is small and specific and you don't need to rely on black box automation or broad analytics dashboards. You can actually track every single response. You know exactly who has engaged with you and who hasn't. That's what people-based marketing looks like. Instead of drowning in noise or chasing vanity metrics, you're working with real responses from real people. And the best part? These programs, there are programs out there to help you to do this effectively, Momentum Data being one of them. So that's the challenge we are all facing as marketers right now. On one side, we've got the dinosaurs, the old platforms and processes that everyone knows don't really work anymore, but they are still hanging around. And on the other side, we've got the robots, new shiny tools and buzzwords that promise the world, but often just create more noise. My hope is that today gave you some clarity in between those two extremes and a few practical ideas you can actually take back and use in your own ABM programs. All right. Thank you for spending the 10 minutes with us, and now it's your move. If you're interested in learning more about how Momentum Data can help your marketing organization launch or optimize your existing ABM practices, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining today's session, and I look forward to continuing the discussion. Until next time, have a great day, and bye everyone.